Hello, we're going to go through how to fix a D120 John Deere riding mower. So my issue was it you turn the key and it tries to start but can't. So I have electricity. If I didn't have electricity, it was like dead. You change the battery for starters. But over here you would actually touch this solenoid. There's two, the black and the red. You'd actually just put a screwdriver to them just to see if it turns over and bypass the solenoid. So that could be the issue too, if you have no power whatsoever, and change the battery or do something. I had it where it was turning over and it didn't start. So one of the issues that I did check in the beginning is, someone said too, I heard this, that in the gas line, in the gas down here, if it's nearly empty, that sometimes some debris will go into the gas line. So what you do is check the gas line coming in here, right here in the fuel pump. Disconnect this and see if fuel's pumping out. Then you know it's fuel coming out. But a lot easier step, because you know it's air, fuel, and ignition, is that this spark plug. Next time this happens, I would take this spark plug out with this attached and touch it on here, the end of the spark plug, you know, that little press like that. Touch it there and start it and see if you have a spark. Because at the end of the day, I did not have a spark, and that was my problem. So I changed this coil here, and it just goes in. There's two screws. It's nothing serious anyways. I can, it wasn't too big. I think the part was 60 bucks or so, 70 bucks. That was the final thing that made it work. But if I go back to here, the fuel issue here, I did change the fuel filter here in the beginning when I didn't know. You see if I wiggle it, there's no air in there, but there was an air line in there, and what I did is it goes to the fuel pump here and then over here to the carburetor. You disconnect this part here by the carburetor and just get the air bubble out. That's what I tried to do after. This I took off too is another fuel solenoid. There's a little pin up there. It's easy to take off. You just disconnect it here. Oh, it's got wild animals here. You disconnect this part and just unscrew it. There's a little thing there. You unscrew it and then you check the little popper if it keeps coming in and out. I did put some grease on that and some WD-40 just to see if it moves, and that was actually fine. But this is the fuel filter, which I did replace, because when I took this off down here, it actually broke, which is extremely frustrating that broke on there. So I replaced this, and this was the fuel pump. Now there's two on here, because this one, when I took it off, I actually busted the back. The one in the back that I popped it, I broke the piece on here. So I have to take this off now and put this back on. This is actually my spare, because I had a problem before with the head gasket here. I put the head gasket on here. I took that hole off. That was a whole other operation on there. So before I did that, I thought it was the fuel pump was the problem, because it was spilling the fuel up. Look here, the fuel was just pouring out of here, and I thought a bit of a fuel issue. So that didn't really do it. So this fuel pump, I just put, this is the old one. It came with the John Deere. This is the new one, which I broke. I think I got to pop this off and do it. I had to bring it up from the woods to actually do that. Now with the carburetor here, you just pop this out. You just spray in the carburetor fluid. That really does, just spray it and you go shh. That really does kickstart it over for sure, to make it over. But my issue was I broke this off when I was moving it. So it was moving after I fixed that spark plug issue or the cable, and it finally did work. So, and then when I went to reverse, it started smoking like crazy. And I'm like, okay, it's been already a few years, maybe I should just change the oil. So I put a new oil filter on here. Here's the oil filter. You just screw it off. There's going to be oil coming out. And on the other side, here is the oil. So you see that? I thought it was a screw off. You just turn that and pull it out. Drain the oil on this side, pour it in a bucket, and then change the oil filter and put some new fuel in. It's about 1.4 liters. I think it was 1.4 liters. In the beginning, when I didn't know what the issue was, I had to check this plug too, the fuse, if that was okay. And then there was another in the back here. There's a plug, and right here in the back. And I know someone said it was hard to get out, but I did get it out. You just stick a screwdriver in. There's a little part in there, and this little loop here, someone, you can pull that loop out and bypass the seat, which I thought was my issue. what I thought was my issue, but in reality, that was not cool doing that. It didn't matter. I guess the easiest troubleshooting next time, if it turns over and it tries to start but can't, I would do the easiest thing before you buy anything. I took out the spark plug and put the spark plug with this, the cap on it, and touched it here to see if it does any spark, and there was none. But when I took off the spark plug, it actually broke in half. So I was like, okay, I'll just get a new spark plug anyways. That'll be the end of that anyways. So this was my problem this year. And also when there was a fuel, if you go back here, the fuel was a bit of an issue too. Like I said, there was some dirt, I think, in the front there, because when I took off this fuel line and disconnected it and let it set there, no fuel was coming out. And I think that hose right there goes to the tank. So that's when I put my lips on, believe it or not. Put my lips on there and gave it some pressure. And it did actually release. Some people said that, you know, if there was debris in there, you could push it out. And if the debris goes further into here, you'd have to take this out and clean it, which sometimes, just like on computers, you know, I was going to take this thing apart and clean it. You know, that would have been worse. It's almost like on a computer, there's a problem and you try to make it, you might make it worse by changing your settings and your Bluetooth and this and this, and then you just realize that you're just off the internet, you know, and that's why you can't, your router just went down, you got to restart it or something. It almost seems like the same thing with an engine. You got to be careful. So the first thing I would do, check the spark plug if you got a spark. If you got a spark, then go fiddle it with the gas. That's why I would do it in order. I must have charged that battery 5, 6, 7 times, I think. I actually brought it to the John Deere dealer and they tested the load on it, and the load was fine. But like in my old days, I would have just bought a new battery, you know. But I'm getting tired of buying batteries. I'm really getting tired of buying them because they seem to always break. So I didn't do that. Also, when you started, you know, you have to step on the brake when you do that. Instead of that, you gotta step on the brake and pull this up, and that'll lock the pin down there. So when you step on this and lift this up in the lock, then you can turn the key by like not sitting on the seat. That actually was good to know too, because I can't always get someone to come here and you know, start it for me while I'm sitting here pressing a button or doing something. So I'm gonna leave the cover open and just clean it up after, and get some gloves and clean it up, because there's so much oil I got on. So I always try to use some gloves or something. This looks a bit rough too in there, on there. But yeah, that was the issue to fix it, the spark plug. I would check that next time this ever happens, and I'll just use this as a reference. There, that's the mower, D120. This is sort of the same. I've seen other people have mowers that's L something something. This is in Canada, they have that one, but it's the same thing. It's just a riding mower. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.